So moving on to the main part of the show, we are talking about Biden asking Saudi Arabia to intervene in the U.S. elections.
Dang, you can't do that.
I know.
Trump did that.
And only bad
red-haired fucking people that put golden letters of their name on buildings do that. Misogynistic people that fuck porn stars do that, Dane. So, not our well-withstanding person that can't make a fucking coat sentence anymore. Doesn't know where he's at any given time. Tries to invite a dead person onto the stage. Does that.
And shake the hand of
an imaginary person. He sees ghosts. He's the sixth sense.
Yes. President Trippy Steps also.
I'm waiting for her to have toilet paper on his heel.
Also is a big fan of meddling in U.S. elections as long as it helps him out. Now, Dane, David, WMD, Sane Space, fellow comrades and compatriots, what are you talking about? Surely the nominal head of the party who spent 3/4 of Trump's presidency screaming from the top of their lungs about Trump asking Russia to meddle in our elections and how terrible that was and how that's an attack on our democracy and yada, yada, yada. You know all the talking points. You sat through it just like we did. We're sorry for that. Surely that the nominal head of that party would not blatantly and openly do it so as not to at least appear to be non-hypocritical. Surely not. Well, yep, they did. Because Biden, you might remember a month or so ago, actually asked Saudi Arabia to please start producing more oil. And Saudi Arabia, which is essentially the de facto leader of what's called OPEC, which is the organization of countries that are the main oil producers, primarily in the Middle East, but there's also an addendum to that called OPEC Plus, which includes oil producers like Russia, et cetera, et cetera. And Biden asked them...
These fucking idiots. They can't think of a better name than OPEC Plus. OPEC Supreme.
No, of course I can.
Get out here.
At the end of the day, these are still governments. This is not
Where's the marketing campaigns for these government fucking officials? Like,
listen, it doesn't matter.
Spice it up.
It doesn't matter whether
OPEC Extreme. Catch the oil,
David. It doesn't matter whether they're in Washington D.C. or Riyadh. The people that sit in government are not
Riyadh. Nice.
Are not humanity's best and brightest.
I didn't.
Okay. Anyway, you may have remembered recently Biden asked Saudi Arabia, again, and OPEC by extension, to crank up the pumping a little bit. We need more oil, right? We're suffering from high prices.
Well,
give us some more.
He should have shut down all those pipelines, right? Excuse me, Dave. Go ahead.
Yes, David. That is another topic, but I would like to get to this one.
He should have done a lot of pipelines. Go ahead.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Fly, little bird.
The shutting down of stuff can come later in this topic without me.
I wanted to get it in before I forgot. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll write it down.
That's why you have a pen and paper. You want mine?
The spirit.
Do you want my pen?
Hallelujah. I said hallelujah. Sorry. I know I do that a lot.
Anyway, Biden asked Saudi Arabia and other OPEC nations to turn the pumps on a little bit more. Let's get some more supply into the global economy so that we can counterbalance this demand and bring prices down a little bit. Saudi Arabia said no. Then later on, Saudi Arabia said, you know what? As a matter of fact, we talked with a couple of the other member nations of OPEC and we decided we're not only not going to pump out more, we're actually going to reduce production by about 2 million barrels a day because the economics dictate it. And Biden says,
nice.
Listen, if you're going to cut production, I know I can't stop you, but please wait to do it until after the beginning of November. Now, one might wonder,
otherwise known as, I know you're going to fuck my wife, but please just do it. Don't do it at Thanksgiving dinner in front of my kids.
Now, one might wonder, in early November of 2022, what's going on around that time? Oh, yeah, that's right. The midterm elections here in the United States. And if you remember, since Biden's been in office and gas prices have gone through the roof, that's been a really big talking point of the other side. You're paying a lot more for gas with Biden as president. Maybe don't vote for him or people of his party, right? You get the political atmosphere here in the United States. So with that being said, knowing that his neck is on the proverbial voting chopping block, Biden says, delay it until after the election. If there's going to be bad effects at the pump, we want to make sure that everybody gets their votes in before that happens, because then screw them after the beginning of November. We still got 2 more years until 2024 to, maybe make up some lies and smooth over some stuff, and maybe people will vote for us again. If that ain't asking for meddling in American elections, I don't know what is. David, now you can say the things that you want to say. Did you write some stuff down over there?
Oh, are we still doing this thing? Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. No, again, it's just... What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Not at this podcast, but just in America. What are we doing here? Like, every time somebody else accuses somebody else of doing the wrong thing, they're always caught doing that exact same thing. Like, I'll take it as menial as the Minnesota representative that was screaming out against gay rights and gay marriage. And then he's caught in a fucking airport bathroom tapping his toe to get his dick sucked by another guy.
Was that Minnesota?
I think it was it not?
This was a long time. This is like early 2000s. You're really testing my historical knowledge here, but keep going. I'll look it up.
Please. He tapped his toe.
I know what you're talking about.
I just remembered a jaunty tune, but I just so happened to do it in a stall that was known for getting your smash. And then to take it to more the parlance of our times, they say that Trump was a Russian Manchurian candidate, but it turns out that Clinton was actually paying the Russians to get into his campaign and give her the deeds. Then it turns out that Biden is the cognizant grandfather gonna take Uncle Joe. He's gonna take us to the promised land because he's been doing this for years. What did they attack Biden? What did they attack Trump on? Senility, saying he wasn't fit for the position. What can America be summed up in one word? America be summed up in one word. He must have been speaking like one of the lost languages at that point. Maybe he's a evangelist and speaks in tongues. But all I know is that he can't form a sentence. His vice president, she's the female role model that every woman should look up to. How did she get to her position? I'm not going to tell you right here, right now, because I don't want to get flagged. I don't want to get I don't want to get a strike. So look it up for yourselves. But suffice to say, she did it the way that you aren't supposed to do it. She Weinsteined it. So my whole point being is that all their rhetoric is a facade. In everything that they accuse everybody else of doing, they always seem to be doing themselves. So, again, how can I take any of this with any amount of truth? Truth. That's all I'm asking for, Dane.
Before we get back onto the topic for this, right. I want to tell you what I found. And that I am very impressed with your memory. You said Minnesota. It was an Idaho senator, but he was, when he did the toe tapping in the store, hold on. When he did his tapping in the bathroom stall that got him in trouble, he was at the Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
I knew it ended in Minneapolis.
And oh, by the way, his name was Larry Craig, and the whole scandal about this whole thing is when he was in the U.S. Senate, and he still was when this incident happened in 2007, he was a big proponent of pushing forward anti-LGBT legislation, and then turned out to be, although he always been, and I still think denies to this day that he's a homosexual. But anyway, point is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy abounds. So that was David's point. I think hypocrisy. Yes. And that,
He doth protest too loudly, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, but listen, the fact that these people, and what I mean by these people, I mean,
yes, please explain that.
I mean the regime, not just Democrats, even though they happen to control both the legislative and executive branches at the national level right now. And I mean the people that comprise the establishment regime. And so this includes the Liz Cheneys of the world, who, even though she's a Republican, is all in favor of the regime staying in place and in power and all this kind of stuff.
We've gone in on Liz.
What I'm saying about these people and the brashness with which they display their hypocrisy without a care in the world. Like, you would think, like I said in the lead off to this section, that this party that spent so much time and energy ginning up the outrage of Trump allegedly colluding with Russia to steal the 2016 election, which blew up in their face because they never proved it, and because there was not only not any smoke, there was not only no fire, there was definitely no smoke. They spent all of that time doing that, staking their political, hides to the wall, so to speak, to make that happen. And then they just blatantly and openly come out. This article about Biden doing this with Saudi Arabia is in every major newspaper. This isn't some little intrepid reporter that broke this story that nobody knew about. They're just doing it openly because they don't care. They either A, think that you are as stupid as they are, or they think you are so unprincipled, just like them, that you're not going to care because at least it's not Orange Man bad.
You know what comes
And
to
that
mind?
they can get away with anything they want, bend you over the barrel and do anything they want to you, be as openly and blatantly hypocritical as they could possibly be, and they don't really care. That shows you how little they think of you. That shows you how little they think that they work for you. They certainly don't think that. And that shows you exactly what they would do to you if you find yourselves on the wrong side of them. Heed when they do this openly and don't really care.
You know what comes to mind when you bring all that up? There's one image that I just can't get out of my head. AOC putting her hands behind her back like she was in handcuffs and walking with pride towards a vehicle that she knew she wasn't even being detained. She was just putting on the facade of being arrested to cultivate the image of the people that were arrested for the Black Rights Movement multiple times. She doesn't care that she's pretending. She trusts the people that are shooting the shot to only present it in the way that it looks good for her. This whole thing is it's theater. It's all theater. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about what they said yesterday, because if it doesn't fix itself to the agenda today, they just act like they never said it. You can show them a video clip. If they never admit that they said that, or maybe they'll say it was out of context, that's all they have to say, and then they just move on. They don't answer the question. They just move on.
I'm glad you brought up AOC, because I'll bring up one better or add to your thing, and a little bit more recently. I think this was just within the last couple of days, is about this mentality of they don't work for you, they rule you, and they don't care that it looks like that. AOC was at a town hall meeting just yesterday or the day before, and some protesters were there, her constituents, and these weren't super Republican, just there to shout her down. They were her constituents that were upset about her votes of, ginning up war with Russia and the things that she had done in terms of voting along with Nancy Pelosi. Because, right, she's supposed to be this outsider. She's supposed to stand up to the establishment, blah, blah, blah. So they were holding her to her campaign promises. And a few of them started shouting and banging drums. And instead of AOC saying, you know what, my constituents are upset with me over my vote, let me, talk to them about my vote. You know what she did? She sat on the stage of it looked like it was like a school auditorium or whatever. She sat on the stage and danced to the beat of their drum. This is on film. It's going to be on wdpodcast.com/117. It'll be in the link in the description. She danced to the beat of their drum. Now, you might watch that video and say, those people were being unruly. They were being loud. They shouldn't have been shouting at her, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Fine. But just understand that somebody with that kind of power, when she is being confronted with people that are upset with her about her votes, when she's supposed to be representing their interests, her reaction is to dance. To dance. That is exactly, as we say all the time on this podcast, look at what they do, not what they say. That action, almost more than anything else from any politician anywhere on the political spectrum, tells you exactly what they think about you, their constituents. They are not there to serve you. They never thought they were there to serve you. They're there to take pictures. They're there to be put in Vanity Fair puff pieces in their, $40,000 suits when they're talking about the poor and taxing the rich. They are there to aggrandize themselves, and that is it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Dane, because I'll take it a step further.
Oh, you're going to step up my step up? We're just going to step all the way to all the steps. There was a step right here, right now. We'd step all over.
We started with a wigwam. Now we're making a mansion. And if the words were true, if they truly believed their words about January 6th, if they truly thought that they were the voice for the people, which they claimed to be, would they be dancing to Dane's drum?
I wasn't the one banging it, but yeah.
I'm sorry. He wasn't a part of the drum circle.
I don't have time to fly to New York and listen to whatever that goofball has to say.
Yeah, that little knucklehead. Anyway, that little rascal. So if that was the case, if they really took the American people so seriously, why would she start dancing to it? When people showed up on January 6th, they try to make it like it was a Trump rally. It was this, that, and the other. No. What the fulcrum of that was is that Americans weren't being listened to by the people that they put in office to be their voice. That was what January 6th was about. Not about Trump not getting elected. Not about stringing fucking, what was his vice president's name? Again, Pence up. They were looking for Pence. They were looking for anybody. Where were all their voices, Dane? They took them so seriously. They're fighting for the American people. Where were they?
Hiding.
Oh, hiding from them. Why do you hide from something, Dane? When you know you're fucking guilty. Why do you, when your mom walks in, you know you ate all the cookies she baked? All of them. What do you just go, yes, mother?
Goes all the way back to Adam and Eve. What did they do after they took a bite of the apple? They hid from God because they were ashamed of their nudity. Before that, they didn't care. They didn't do anything wrong.
Nothing. But they hid. And they'll tell you that it was an angry mob, that yada, yada. How many people died on January 6th? I think there was one person that died, right?
I think so, but...
I think so, but again, not a large body count. So you would have to say it was more peaceful than the peaceful protests of the BLM.
Much more. Not even close. More peaceful than one BLM protest, let alone all of them.
Less destruction, less damage than one BLM protest. So if those were peaceful, then January 6th was... Mostly peaceful. Then it means that January 6th was most peaceful out of that whole time. And if it was the most peaceful protest, then why were they scared to be there to talk to the people that put them there? Like, how many artists hide from their fucking fans? Zero. They go out and they sign their shit. They go out and they have conversations with them. If you pay enough money, you can go meet them, hang out with them. They don't hide from you. They know what they're doing. And AOC dancing in front of her, that's placation. That's her knowing she is going to get elected no matter what the fuck her constituents have to say, no matter what the fuck her district has to say. And that, my friend, is what we are dealing with in Washington. People that don't care about your voice anymore. They're not there to represent you. They'll give you flowery language like we say all the time. You said it best. Just moments ago. Don't look at their words, look at their actions. What has she ever done that has moved this country forward? Zero. She keeps telling you how we're holding each other back. She keeps putting out rhetoric that this country isn't good, it's falling apart. Well, what does that lead to? It falls apart. Like, stop listening to the AOCs, the Pelosi's. To say that a senator that's how old is she? 35? She's our age?
I think she's younger than us.
Okay.
33 or 4.
Why would she ever vote in the same direction as Nancy Pelosi, who's an 85-year-old bajillionaire that fucking insider trades and uses this country as a personal piggy bank? Why would she ever see the world just like her? Oh, because she wants to be her someday. She wants to play the role. She's in the cool kids group. She's moving up. That's how this shit works. Like, January 6th was the darkest day of our history. I wish I could make toilet paper. Can we make that? Can we make that product? So that January 6th was the...
We need to get this podcast in the black before we start worrying about products.
Maybe this will put us there. Maybe this will launch us into Superframe. Like, make it a whole toilet paper roll of January 6th was the worst day of American history. So we can all wipe our ass with that sentiment. Because they don't care. They don't care at all. They don't care. They're not even touting it now. We fought a 20-year war over 9/11. They're dancing to a beat of a drum that they don't like what she's doing. She's dancing to it. Like, they don't give a fuck. They still don't give a fuck. So why keep putting them in office? Please, whatever district votes for AOC, if one of you sees this video, clip it, send it to all your constituents, and let them know that she does not give a fuck about you. She's there to propagate her own species. She's got her own little bunker when the nuclear war that she's aiding and abetting starts. She's going to make it fine. She'll make it through the first wave just fine. I don't know how she's going to cultivate a crop, grow cattle, kill other people that have things that she needs to survive. I don't know how she's going to do that without, an armed guard or anything like that. They think they're safe with these bunkers in nuclear war that they're driving us to. We haven't even discussed this on this podcast. We are closer to doomsday than we ever were during the Cold War, but we're still talking about January 6th, climate change, and yada yada. Sorry, I went on another rant.
Yeah, David's full on.
I'm a little lit tonight.
So
I'm a little fiery.
With that being said, I think that wraps it up for me. Are you wrapped up?
Did I wrap it up tonight?
I think you did.
Whoops. I hope I did a good job.
So anyway,
usually I hand it over to you for the
moral
final
of the story: don't touch kids, vaccine or otherwise.
Yes,
and
I like that.